Welcome to Just Between Us, the podcast with all of the answers, some of the time.
We're your hosts. I'm Vickers.
And I'm Alice Giddings, and I spend my days at Metro deep diving into the scandalous and wild world of sex, love, and relationships.
And I'm here to add my 2 cents. Together, every week, we're going to be answering your burning questions, from sex parties to ghosting to dating disasters. No topic is off limits.
So hold the line as we dish out our best advice with a little bit of curiosity, empathy, and of course, plenty of chaos.
And of course, we'll be sharing our own experiences because let's face it, we've all made a lot of mistakes along the way.
And that's Just Between Us.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first ever episode of Just Between Us, where we hear all of your messy, heartfelt love confessions.
I'm so excited.
I am so buzzing. What I'm really excited about as well is that like people are calling in like their own actual experiences.
I know, I can't wait.
Gossip about it.
I love a gossip.
Have you been?
Been good. I've been very, very busy, but
Busy
Mexico was amazing.
Mexico looked like a dream.
It was so good. Although I did end up in like a really terrifying like ceremony there.
A ceremony?
Yeah, it's a cultural Mexican ceremony, and I really wanted to do it because I was like, I want to learn all about like Mexico's culture and this.
Yeah.
But they like put you in this like blacked out igloo with no windows.
Absolutely not.
And then they fill it with like white hot boulders.
What, by yourself?
With other people, but it's really small. So if you're claustrophobic, it's
Oh my God, that's an absolute
the worst thing ever.
Nightmare. It's like a bush tucker trial.
And they pour water on the hot stones so it all fills up with smoke and you can't see.
No.
And you have to stay in there for 2 hours.
What?
And it gets hotter and hotter and hotter
For
and
what
hotter.
purpose? It's like some weird prank or something.
No, it's meant to be like a rebirth. It was really interesting though, but it was a bit scary.
Oh my God, I'm going to do so much. What's it called again?
A Temazcal.
Okay, I feel like I'm going to have to do some like really intense research about this like when I get home because this sounds mental.
Was your week less traumatic than mine?
Yeah, I didn't get locked in a tiny little igloo thing that sounds mental. I had a really good week. I mean, just like running around town. I had a date the other day.
I saw. How was that? It was a morning date.
It was a morning date. So I haven't been on a date in like 6 months or something. I've been like taking a bit of a break from it.
Love that.
Yeah, and then it was this really great guy. I met him on a dating app called Raya.
Oh, she's exclusive.
But it went really, really well. But like, it's very odd, like, because obviously we had chemistry, but it's really good because you're sober, so you know that it's real. Like the last date I went on, I was with this guy and I was snogging his face off and stuff, but I was like, am I snogging you because I fancy it, or is it because like I'm just real drunk?
Probably a bit of both.
A bit of both.
Hopefully both.
Yeah, but with this guy, it was just really got on, really, really funny. Just think he was just so wonderful, like a really impressive person. But it was just quite odd because he was there like having his avocado on toast and we're like holding hands.
So when's the next date then?
I don't know, but we've been messaging and like I sent him videos of like Pride and we follow each other on the gram and he like likes everything. But like, I just think it was like a really good thing just to like, I've been really sort of like putting off dating or whatever. And like, it was just a good date, you know?
Yeah, this is so exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, it made me hopeful about the future.
So all this date chat is really fun, but we actually have a caller this week called Hannah, and she is a 23-year-old virgin.
23-year-old virgin. Right. We need to get her on the phone right now. Hello?
Hi.
Hiya, is that Hannah?
Hi, yes it is.
Hiya, I'm Diana.
And I'm Alice.
Hi.
Thank you so much for speaking with us today. I'm so curious. First of all, we want to know a bit about you.
Where are you calling us from, Hannah?
I'm working from home today, so I'm calling from my sister's bedroom because it's the quietest.
Right, and where in the world are you?
I'm in London, so southwest London.
Right, okay. And how old are you, babe?
I'm 23.
23. Well, go on. We want to hear what you...
Yeah, spill the beans.
Spill
Tell
the
us,
beans,
tell us
Hannah.
your dilemma.
Yes.
Yeah, so my name's Hannah, I'm 23, and I've never had sex, never had a boyfriend, never gone further with a boy than kissing. Never done anything, never sort of any romantic holding hands or even hugging, I suppose. Every time I get, I suppose, close to that, close to hanging out with a boy, I get very nervous, freak out, start thinking very irrational thoughts like, oh my gosh, what if my phone dies and I can't get home and he invites me out? What if I haven't bought my contact lenses and he gets embarrassed wearing glasses? I think very random thoughts and end up getting sort of freaked out or put off in some way. And every year, I suppose, I feel more and more ready to have sex. I'm 23, I'm starting to get, but so far it's never happened, and it's never, and it's getting a bit frustrating, a bit upsetting as well, as both my siblings have got their first, serious relationships. One's older and one's younger than me, and so I'm starting to get a bit more impatient, especially with family members when they ask me, what's going on, and so that is where I'm at.
Wow. No, this is like absolutely fascinating. How? So, have you had any like long-term boyfriends? No,
I've never
You've not
had a single boyfriend. It's very sad.
Do you have like, so you have a desire to have a boyfriend and lose your virginity?
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely as the years go on, I'm definitely more and more ready. And then seeing both my brother and sister get into relationships, you get that sort of sad moment, where rom-coms where you picture sad music playing, kind of thing.
When you've been intimate with a guy before, in terms of like kissing, which you've said you've had kisses with guys, like how does that make you feel when you got like terror over you when you're even with that? Does it terrify you? What is the thought of it that is absolutely terrifying? Is it the things around it, or is it the actual act of it? Because I had a friend that was really nervous about it being painful and feeling really overwhelmed and feeling like it would be really uncomfortable, or is it something more emotional about the connection? Or you said there's other things around it, like your phone, running out of battery, or like not, So what is it exactly? Obviously, it's an accumulation of things.
It's a bit of everything. Don't get me wrong, I very much enjoy the kissing and the kissing aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's just then, and I get almost quite into it, and then a guy will say, oh, do you want to come back to my place? And I'll think, I can't. I'm not on any sort of birth control, so I don't want to get pregnant. Oh my gosh, I'm wearing contact lenses. What if I end up sleeping over at his place and then I, can't see?
I also think it's important to say that it's not irrational. Like, I feel like you're saying that a lot, and it's definitely not an irrational fear to have.
It's your body, and it's like, it's like a really vulnerable situation that we all put ourselves in, going around to these people who don't know, like, houses, and being naked with them and being super, super intimate. And I totally get it.
And growing up, did you go to an all-girls school, Hannah?
I did. So that was again what I kind of was hoping to bring up. I think honestly, my brain never learned how to be friends with males who are my age, who are attractive, I suppose, good looking. I blame going to an all-girls school, but I just don't think I learned, because obviously, I was 10, 12, 13, I was all going to a girls' school, even being in an all-girls class at university. I never learned. And so every time, even if they're in relationships, these boys, settling into my new job and talking to male attractive colleagues, even if I know they're in relationships or it's a work life, I still get very nervous talking to them. And I'm like,
I totally get it. Yeah. I went to an all-girls school all my life as well.
Yeah, you and me both.
And it made me put boys on pedestals, or quite scared, quite nervous around them. Even now, it's so funny what you say. I can be in the most confident person, and then say I'm in a room full of there's really attractive men that I'm working with. I can go red and I can blush, because we're not used to it. We're so used to feminine energy, and I didn't grow up, and every boy that I saw outside of school, I would just become really obsessed with, or really freaked out and intimidated by.
So. Yeah.
I totally, it is a thing.
You have said you've had kisses and stuff, so you're clearly you clearly have the ability to flirt, and you know how to talk to guys. That's clear. And obviously, like you said, you got male colleagues, all this stuff. What is it like? So when you've kissed a guy, what has then been kind of the stopping point for you? Is it the thought of like going back to their house, or is it the thought of getting into bed? What is the real kind of trigger point, the point of no return, where you think, right, like I can't go, I don't want to go further?
It's not necessarily an I don't want. I do quite want to, I suppose. It's more like I can't. I get all sort of nervous in my head. And I suppose the stopping point is, it's definitely the sort of going back to his house, like a whole new environment, suddenly getting naked with someone who I don't necessarily know. Most of these kisses I've had have been with like sort of guys in pubs that I sort of know vaguely through work, but don't actually like long-standing relationships with. And again, sort of Hinge dates, I always just get nervous whenever they suggest actually meeting in person, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to end in sex, and I don't know if I'm prepared for that. Then I get worried about phone charges and things like that, and oh my gosh, I'm going to have to get on the pill before this Hinge date.
Well, the other things you can definitely put in place, like like find my friends with your, we've got all these like really great state of it, and if you ever wanted to, like you can always go round and then like see how you feel. And like the thing is, I feel we do feel a lot of pressure, especially as women. I do get it sometimes that like you think that they're expecting sex, don't you?
Oh yeah.
And you feel the pressure around it, but like no one is saying that you have to do that. You could always go round and then tell a friend like, listen, I'm here, this is my location, I'm going to go round and I'm going to see how I feel, and nothing's stopping you from ever leaving. But it does, I do feel like maybe using your virginity is a really special thing, it's a really intimate thing, and it does feel like maybe you need to meet someone that you can grow a connection with and meet up regularly and see.
I would say, I think
I'd love to do that, but I don't know how to be male friends. That's the thing. I don't know how to be friends with guys to form that initial connection and then meet other guys through these male friends, because I don't know why, I suppose. Yeah, because I blame all girls school, but just talking to guys without getting nervous.
I'm gonna be a bit boring and statty here, but
go on, we love a fact and stats.
So there's actually 13% of 23 to 26-year-olds haven't lost their virginity in the UK. Yeah, so you might feel like you're in the minority, but you're actually really not. Like there are plenty of people in the same boat, right?
Yes.
And I think we put, like I like you went to an all-girls school, and I almost went the other way and was like, right, I'm gonna get losing my virginity out the way really quickly, because I don't want to fall behind like that. I put so much pressure on myself that way,
totally,
that I went the other way, and I regret it, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But I think that when it comes to talking to guys, men, we put in our heads like, oh, they have such different interests and all this. If we're going to be like really stereotypical about it, we seem quite different. But there was a study done on how to form romantic connections, right? And they found that feeling known pretty much like set you up for relationship success and dating success. And by that I mean, if you go out and go to places with a friend and you make eye contact with someone, like you've clearly done that before. You said you've been kissing guys on nights out, and you get to that point to kind of, instead of feeling pressure to go back to theirs that night, really focus on making them feel like them. So have that conversation, ask them questions about themselves. I also think, like, I don't know if this is something that you already do, but getting to know your own body, because I feel like
I was just going to ask
women, like we don't always prioritize our self-pleasure. And if you know your body like inside out and what makes you tick, and like that is so much easier to then set boundaries when you get to that point. And that like is something that I feel like could be helpful to sort of maybe ease those nerves.
I was just going to say, is it something like you self-pleasure? It's not that the fact that you're thinking, oh, I don't really have any interest in it, or I don't really enjoy that side of it, and I don't really pleasure myself, or are you good? Are you good at that? How?
No, 100%. It's definitely something I'm interested in. I often thought, like, potentially not, I know it, I don't, again, this is a struggle of being a virgin, but I don't know all the lingo in terms of like, maybe just start, I'm sorry to get too graphic, but like, maybe just not go all the way with a guy, just find a nice guy and maybe start with just, I suppose, over the clothes, under the clothes, and then work my way up.
Yeah, a little bit
of text, I suppose.
Yeah, a little bit of dry
That was my
humping's
thought,
really
I
fun.
suppose.
It's a very, very good thought there. And also, like, I think that we lump this idea of like losing our virginity in as like it all happens at once.
Yeah.
You know, because if we're talking about virginity here, I assume obviously as like penetrative sex.
Yeah, yes.
But you know, you could go back to a guy's house and just make out with him, maybe like,
a bit
you
of
know,
touching, see how that goes.
And then if you like him, you can see him again, and then you like maybe you try some oral.
I think as well. Like,
that's what I'd always thought.
Yeah,
because I don't think I could go like 0 to 100, and then like I said, that's where the fear of like, oh, it will hurt straight away.
Yeah, Hannah, if you're okay, I'm gonna like run through a little like maybe action plan.
Yes,
and then like you can let me know if there's any more questions.
Yes, 100%.
But I think just really trying to, because you've made it very clear obviously that losing your virginity is something that you want to do at some point, so putting yourself out there with friends in places that you know there are going to be lots of people. So like I'm thinking after work drinks, or like if you're sporty, maybe like a run club or something like that. Something where people are open to making connections. So I know it's like tiring, we've all got jobs, but like just getting yourself out there and also like approach people when they're, you know, at the bar on their own, just away from their friends or something like that. Ask them about themselves, make sure that they're reciprocating that same energy towards you. And I think then you'll actually find someone who's not just a one night stand and actually is invested in having conversations with you and going on a date.
That's the thing.
And then you can take it step by step. I don't think, you know, that you need us to tell you that you don't need to lose it. I think you're well aware of that.
And I think as well, like, I this is a personal thing. I've not had sex now for nearly 8 months, but I have the best sex life with myself. I'm having a really, and I think that might be really, really crucial in this whole thing, that if you are pleasuring yourself and enjoying that and finding out what you love, and it's really liberating. I'm having a really good time with me at the moment. And I think that like, so if someone's like to me, oh, you're not sleeping with anyone at the moment, I'm like, no, but like I do have my own sex life going on. And that might even help if you explore that side of yourself a bit more, and because it reminds you that you are a sexual person and you do have needs and wants and pleasures, and it can feel really good with that, and it can then you can bring someone else into it as well, you know.
That'd be cool. But that's hopefully
So do you have any other questions that we can hopefully help you with?
I mean, I suppose the only other question I had was sort of going along these lines when it comes to finding this guy and setting a game plan of meeting a guy. So I suppose just tackling advice, like contradictory advice, was something that I would like, to go upon.
I think that I forget this sometimes. I do think like putting yourself out there and like going on dates, and it is. I think that it does help.
I do. I get that it could be. It's so jarring when people feel that they can be like, oh well, you know, it'll happen when you least expect it, or like everyone is going to give you different advice because you know they've all had different experiences. You just, as frustrating as this is to hear, need to genuinely just go with the flow, do what suits you, and try and block them out, because what do they know at the end of the day? Like their experience of sex is going to be so different to yours, and you just need to move at your own pace, and you're you know exactly what you want, so it's just taking your time to get there and make you sound like you want to find the right guy.
But definitely like finding some like girl mates, going out as a group, people that like help you more confident and can also instigate conversations if you're a bit more nervous. Definitely having some self-pleasure, letting yourself know that you're a sexual being and that you enjoy that. And also like, again, if you do meet the right person, don't feel the need that you have to do it straight away. Maybe be honest, have a conversation. And also if you're nervous, safety things, find my friends, not knowing that if you do go back there, you have a choice to leave at any time, you know, taking that pressure off.
Yeah, that's a good thing I need to remember
Yeah,
that.
you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But if you want to put yourself in a situation where you're curious, you can do that. It doesn't mean you have to go through with it, and knowing that you have a choice in those situations.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and just make sure that it's going to be something that you enjoy when you do it, because it's meant to be fun.
Yeah, it's meant to be good. And babe, honestly, it is.
I think we all forget that.
Like, yeah, it's sex and it's fun, you know. And we hope. Thank you
100%.
so much for sharing your story with us,
Thank you so
Hannah.
much for having me.
No, it's been great.
I hope we've been useful.
Yeah.
Very much so. No, I like the good game plan in my head now is definitely sort of meeting a guy in a pub, sort of making eye contact, talking to them as opposed to instantly thinking about sex.
Yes.
And so, yeah,
and you'll find a good one that way.
That was definitely really helpful.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, amazing.
All right, darling.
Take care. So lovely to chat.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
It's a nightmare out there.
I know.
So then trying to find someone at this age, like you can't even trust anyone anyway because they're all letdowns. So then having like gatekeeping your virginity to then be like, she's not done it now for so long that it has been built up and it is special to her. And it's hard now trusting anyone anyway. Like I've not had sex. I'll be a virgin soon. When did you lose your virginity? How, when, why, what?
So I lost mine at 15.
Okay.
Which actually a fifth of the UK population has also lost it at 15.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I regret it. I regret who it was with.
Okay.
So I was at an all-girls school,
Mm-hmm.
but a guy from kind of a neighbouring school, like everyone kind of knew each other, and a guy from a neighbouring school whose sister I knew, like messaged me, and he was 2 years older. And he was like, oh, like, you know, I think you're all really cute, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, we went on a date and stuff. And then 3 months later, or maybe 4 months later, it was sort of that time. And, you know, I was on the pill at that point, and we did the deed. And I just remember we tried to do it once before and it didn't work. Because I was not wet at all.
Right. So, you're like, this just doesn't work.
Yeah, I was like, God. I don't even know how to do this. Like how to. I tried it a few months later, and it worked. And I remember it was really painful for me.
Right. Okay.
Really painful. But that's because like, what was foreplay? I didn't know at that point. So I was like,
yeah.
And yeah, he was just. He was all right that time, but then the 2 times after he was so pushy. Like
I hate it.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, you know, I don't want to do missionary because like it's boring and stuff. And I was like, but it still hurts for me. Like I can't do anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ended up being really emotionally abusive and all sorts.
I'm so sorry.
And you just sort of think, wow, like I really wasted my time on that one.
How long were you with him for? Or was it just like a few occasions?
We ended up being together for a year.
Right, okay.
And like one day he was just like, do I make you happy? And I was like, no.
No, actually.
You make me miserable. Like he never gave me an orgasm ever.
Oh, no.
No, that was something I discovered on my own.
Well, yeah, as a lot of women do, actually.
Yeah. And I wish I had discovered that before I lost my virginity.
Yeah.
Because it would have made life 10 times better. But
see,
yeah,
it's
it was
such a shame because obviously it is a big thing, isn't it? And looking back and having a really negative feeling towards that time, it's not very nice. You feel like something was like sort of taken from you, don't you?
I do feel like something was taken from me, but I think for me it didn't feel like a massive thing. Like I don't think I really felt like it was a huge deal at the time.
Well, sometimes you have a feeling of like I think maybe it's not with the right person, but maybe it's something that were you feeling like I am kind of ready to experience
I felt like it was
the
right time.
So you did it for you rather than suppose like with the person, which isn't a bad thing, but you did it at the time that you thought that you were ready.
Exactly.
You see? So that's not a bad thing. That's actually quite a good thing. You're like, okay, it's going to be you now because I'm ready. So it's you.
What about you?
Me, I think I was 15 or 16. I went to an all-girls school. I'd had boyfriends before and done like bits with them, but I just knew that I didn't want to lose my virginity. They weren't reliable boys. They were quite naughty. They went to like the schools he went to were like a bit naughty. Like, do you know what I mean? They were just like, but I fancied them.
Oh, mine was so naughty.
Just like real
They
naughty.
always are,
One of them, like I was telling my friend yesterday, like one of them like was in court for something. I was like, what? Like
Mine got arrested after we broke up.
yeah, oh my God, mental. Like,
It's
why were we hanging out
horrific.
with
These
naughty,
horrific
naughty
choices.
boys? But we love them. And then there was this one boy who really, he went to the sort of like equivalent boys' school. I went to this like private or girls' school and he went to the boys' school.
Yeah.
And he really, really took a shine to me. And we all became in this like friendship group and he was so sweet and lovely. And I didn't he's a good looking lad, but I didn't really fancy him that much at first. But he just was so persistent with me and kind and sweet and funny and there when I cried. And, you know, and all of a sudden you just go, oh,
You're a good one.
you're a really good, sweet boy. And we started to become sort of like dating, sort of boyfriend and girlfriend. And I was like, I wasn't like, this is what they write love songs about or movies, but I knew that it was safe and I knew that he just adored me. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I did it, but it was good and it was really scary and it wasn't fireworks. It was
never is.
it also was like so last minute because like I knew I had to do it, and then my dad was trying to call me.
Oh, no.
Doing it because he was outside and he was sending me a voice note being like, Diana, love, I'm outside. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to have sex, and it was all just a bit like chaotic, and it sort of like was really really quick, and I was like kind of apologizing.
Oh yeah,
like,
it lasts like 2 seconds.
Yeah. But then it got really good, and it was amazing. And considering I was 16, I was having a lot of orgasms, and
No way.
he would pick me up from sixth form on like my lunch break, and we'd be like, right, shall we? And we were just I was having good sex at 16 years old. It's quite wild.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I have a different story to you.
No.
I was having a really good time. Is there a right time to lose your virginity?
I think that everyone, well, hopefully we know the answer to this, and it is no, obviously not. Like, you could go your whole life without losing your virginity and it's not gonna harm you, impact your life in any way. Like, yes, you won't be able to relate to conversations about sex, but if you don't want to have sex, don't have sex. Like, it's not a big deal. There obviously is an average time, which I mentioned. Most Brits lose it at about 17 years old. Yeah. Although the average for women is 17, the average for men is 18. So boys are actually a little bit behind women in terms of the average.
I see.
But there is not a right time to lose it. I think that, you know, we all, some people develop sexual feelings earlier than others. Some people want to explore earlier than others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know. Why would you explore something if you don't have a desire to explore it?
Absolutely.
What's the point?
Is there a stat to know how long you take to become re-virginized from not having sex? Because I'm sure there must be one. Because we'll find that stat.
I don't think that stat
not a
exists,
thing.
unfortunately. Although I can relate to the very long dry spells for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think a dry spell is good.
I think I'm actually quite nervous about having sex again because it's been like nearly 8 months. Like the thought of doing it, like when I was on my date the other day and then we were holding hands and he's like, I want to see you later. I was like, what if I want me to see his Willie? Like, and then you do it and you're like, oh my God, this is like really, well, looking for me, it was like really mind blowing. I was like, bloody hell, this is great. But
it's that pressure to perform though as well, isn't it? Like the thought of like, whether it's your first time or, you know, your first time in a while or anything, it's still like,
it's a lot.
I want to impress this person, and it shouldn't be a performance, but it's that sort of thing where it's like, I want them to have a good time and I also want to have a good time, and what if we don't quite get in the right rhythm?
Or if you gel, because like obviously it's so the chemistry and you'll be like, oh God, like what if it's just going to be really really bad and it's really really awkward, and then, you know, thinking about my boobies and my vagina and like what will they think of it, what will I think of your genitalia, and it's all this stuff.
I get so self-conscious about all that stuff.
I really do. Or like my hair, like I'm really good at like I don't care about that. Like I love a bush and I'm like, well, you're just gonna have to deal with it then. But like, what if
love that?
Yeah. Well, then it's you get nervous. Like also, like I always find like going down. Like, I'm really going into this now. I feel like when someone goes down a bit, that's like a really really intimate thing, and I get really nervous about that. And
it is intimate.
The head is in my vagina. Like, it's a lot. I get real scared. It's like if I find that like really quite overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It can be overwhelming, and that I think that's why it's nice to do it with someone that. I mean, not everyone has that problem. Some people are like, screw it, like one night stands, love it. I had a phase where I did one night stands. I
mean, I had one like not that. Well, that was the last time before I did my little sort of celibacy thing at the moment. That was a one night stand, and that was really, really fun. And he was a real fit actor, and I was like living my best life. So that was great. But then sometimes you're a little bit like, oh no, why am I here?
Yeah. Or you get kind of the, like, as much as you had a good time then, like when you were doing it, you get the kind of like post regret where you're like, did I need to do that?
Yeah.
Did I like.
So talk about us like feeling that pressure if you don't want to do something with someone and like feeling really overwhelmed. Do you think that virginity should even be like a concept anymore?
No.
No.
But I don't think it should ever have been a concept. I mean, it's obviously not like a biological concept. It's a social construct. But yeah, I mean, people still have different definitions of virginity now. Like we've very much on this episode like spoken about how it's, penetrative sex, but that excludes a huge portion of people, like LGBTQ plus community, all of that. And I think it looks different for everyone. Like someone might do oral and they say, I've lost my virginity. Someone might just have different forms of intercourse and be like, I've lost my virginity.
That's so true.
Some people don't want to say virginity because, again, it's not actually a thing.
Yeah, like what is it classed as? Because you could be, foreplay could be classed, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think people genuinely obviously like to reduce it down to just like penetrative sex.
Yeah.
But like the actual term like virgin came from like the Greek and Latin like Virgo, which means like a maiden, so you're not married, so it just means without a man, so it had nothing to do with like losing your V card or anything like that. And it wasn't until I think the 14th century when the idea of losing your virginity became a real thing because it was so closely tied to like a woman's worth, like
that's just so insane to me.
Oh, it's jarring.
It's just like, wow, okay. And then like if you're damaged goods, if someone's taking your virginity, or not, like you're less pure or less feminine or less desired.
And they would inspect like women's hymens.
Awful.
And obviously your hymen, like again, people think that the first time you have sex your hymen tears and that's popping your cherry. That's not how it works.
No.
Like your hymen could tear when you're just like doing sports day. People have such a wrong idea about that, and they had all these stupid tests. Like I read this in like an academic paper, so I'm hoping these are like founded in history. But I read things like they used to like put a pin in water, and if it sunk, you weren't a virgin.
I remember that. Yeah, weird. Yeah. Who's making up these bloody things?
And I'm just like, the fact that we still have to have a word for everything. If you look virgin up in the dictionary, like it'll talk about chastity and, being, virginal and pure and whatever. And it's just like, that's not what it originally meant.
No, virgin in the bin.
Yeah.
We're not on board anymore. It's old and dated, and it's not even what it means.
Academics actually call it your sexual debut.
Your sexual debut.
Which I much prefer.
I love that. It's like taking to the stage. Yeah. Like, honey.
It's like your first kiss, my sexual debut.
It's like an album launch.
I'm here.
For your sex. I love that.
What would your sexual debut be? Not to put you on the spot.
Well, I don't. What's yours?
I don't know. I would say just like the first time I gave my first boyfriend oral sex, I would say that I would class that, because that was the first time I felt a bit like, right, rabbit in the headlights. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is a very sexual thing to be doing. I would say that's what I like think back to.
I remember there was a boy that I really had a crush on for years and years and years, and we were doing some serious heavy petting. And I remember just being like, oh my God, like this feels so good. And then I remember like going to bed that night and being like, I've never felt like feelings like that before. And I remember I guess that was like like an awakening as well. And it was over clothes, but it was really sexy and it felt really good.
Yeah. I like that debut. That's a good
one. That was a good one. I remember just being like, guys, and like, also I was quite young, and we weren't really speaking about it, but I was like, I wonder if my friends are knowing this. We have to talk to them about it. Like, this feeling's insane. Yeah. So some
stunning
humping and rubbing and
heavy petting.
Yeah. Heavy bedding.
So I think it's so interesting how everything we've just spoken about, I feel like Hannah on the call was talking about those feelings of self-consciousness and all that, and it's so interesting to hear that it's kind of that universal experience.
Yeah, totally.
And she was so great as well. Like, she knew what was up already.
She does, and like I do get it, and like she's got her boundaries as well. Like, I think she does worry about all those things that we do worry about. Like, I don't want someone coming back to my house and my own personal space, and I get nervous like getting intimate with someone, like seeing my body, and it's so hard these days to meet anyone and to really trust someone. Like, even now, like when I'm dating, it's like really putting yourself out there and feeling really comfortable with someone and trusting them. And obviously she just wants to find someone. I really hope that she finds someone that's really patient and trusting and that she can communicate with, because I think as well she harbors all these worries about it, and maybe it's a secret and she can't speak about it, she doesn't want to. So I hope that she can build a rapport and a relationship with someone that she can have an honest conversation with.
I, for one, I know that I'd love to hear from Hannah again. I really hope she gives us an update on that group chat.
Please, I really want to know. I want to know how you're getting on. Like, I really think we gave her some good sort of like plan of actions there, though. Like, I want to know like if she goes out with the girlies, how she's getting on with some self-pleasure. And hopefully we did help her a little bit. I feel like they were all good, like valid.
I'd like to think so. I feel like it's a solid action plan. It's an action plan I wish I had followed when I lost mine. Yeah, well, she's clearly, she's got good stuff, because she's getting guys making out with her, asking her out. So she'll be plenty fine.
A-okay. She'll be fabulous. Okay, it's time for the hot take of the week.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Would you rather lose your virginity again or erase your worst sex experience?
Ooh. Oh, God. I would lose my virginity again. Yeah, I'd lose my virginity again.
I would erase my worst sexual experience, I think, just because it haunts me like a ghost.
Hang on a minute.
You'd want to keep... You had a good virginity losing session.
That wrong. I didn't mean that. Oh, right, I want to erase that thing because I didn't... But that was when I was really, really younger and I was trying to give my boyfriend, like, a hand job. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was, like, stroking it. Yeah, I want that gone. I want that. I see him now. I see it all happening now. And I was like 15 and I was, no, bye-bye.
I do just look back on like things, you know, where you like watch it from like a third person in your head and you're just like,
but babe, what you doing with that? Like,
you found me attractive then because I look like such a loser.
It's mortifying. No,
but we all do it. We all have.
That's how you learn, you know. But, you know, you go ice skating and you're stumbling around and then you're doing it well. You know what I mean?
I've never heard sex compared to ice skating.
But you know what I mean? You put it in the situation and you're not going to get it right, and that's okay. Okay, that is it for this week's episode of Just Between Us, the podcast with all the answers some of the time.
If you've got a story, a question, or you just want to spill the tea, we would love to hear from you.
And make sure that you follow us on Instagram and TikTok at JBUPod for all the backstage little antics that we get up to.
Plus, if you want to be one of our callers, just email us at justbetweenus@metro.co.uk.
Or join us on our WhatsApp group chat. Honestly, get in with the fun. The link is in our bio. Until next time, keep it messy, keep it honest.
And remember, it's just between us. If you loved the podcast, hit follow on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. Or if you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe to the channel.